Sheesh. There we go. All right. I don't know if the vocals is picking up. Let me know if the vocals are picking up. But I am in here now. I don't know what was going on with that, man. I thought when I started the live that it would convert over and go live, but it wasn't doing that. All right. So now we're in motion here. So now I can share what's going on here. I sure enough was like, oh my goodness, what's happening? I couldn't figure out what was going on. There we go. Now we're where we need to be. Alright, cool. I can hear myself. Cool. So let's share this to the Facebook feed. Okay, who up in this thing? Sorry for the wait. Sorry about that wait, y'all. I'm gonna get into it. I've been working on this piece for a while now, and I've been doing long 2-hour videos, just showing the process of what an artist goes through in concept art. And man, feel free. Oh, what's up? What's up, Cam? So right now I'm just working on some concept art, and I had this vision, and it's taken a while to put it into fruition. So this is the overall view. I'll give you what it looks like since you're here. This is the overall picture, and the background area is actually a sacred ground area here in Hawaii, and people just come and do whatever they want to do on this ground. And so this character that I created is a being that's going to uh, bring light to this area again. Is going to reestablish the land as holy and sacred area, you know. So what he's bringing is a high level of consciousness to this environment. So that's what I'm working right now. Let's see. So that's one of the things about having this so many layers. You be trying to erase stuff, but you really can't, because you got too many layers going on and you don't know what's what. So now I gotta track down this shadow area, and it could be this right here. Nope, not that. Maybe this would be the only one left here. Let's see. Yep, that was the one. Problem we run into a lot is these shadowed areas. Because in a well lit picture, these are harder to hide when you got your shadows in the wrong place. The shadow is really coming in heavy. keep looking up there to see who's talking. I really do appreciate y'all stopping in, and even if it's for a second, it does make a difference. That lets YouTube know that I have supporters, and then they can push me out more. Alright, let's get a 100%. Let's get the ball rolling with this thing here. This side and this side. Alright. Now, we got that harsh line out the way. That was just something that's just been sticking out to me this whole time. It's that shadowed area. It's a shadow where it shouldn't be. Alright, let's get back to this. We don't want that. Okay. So this, we're gonna bring it back down. So we can get back into our shadowing. We're just working it in, making it happen. You dig? Making it happen. All of this right here needs to be shaded in. Maybe I should go deeper for this. When you do come in, you know, put a couple words in the chat so I can see who's in here. So I know I'm not talking to myself. It's really hard not to overwork the shadowing in this picture because there's so much area that needs to be darker. right here. And my alarm on. Now some of these areas I won't be able to darken because I have my highlights over the top of this. So maybe I should blend them down and start working them in that way. Because once you start working with layers on top of layers, you can get caught up in doing a lot of work for nothing. You'll be trying to paint something and it won't be painting. You'll be like, what's going on? And it'll be that the layer on top of what you're trying to paint is blocking what you're painting. And then once you remove that layer, you'll have a big mess underneath. And that happens a lot in this world when working multiple layers. Alright. So here we had some lighter spots that need to be darkened up. Let's get my zoom out. The zoom. Yep. Get my brush out. I'm gonna save it because from time to time this starts to act up for me. I think maybe I should just go ahead and merge these down. Yeah, let's do that. Let's get a merge going. So I can work with what I'm working with without the hassles. Let's bring this layer up here. See how that changed everything? And this stuff is not even showing. Oh, but there's others. Okay. So that's why I couldn't do that. Now I understand what's happening. Alright. So I couldn't do that. And everything that I have grouped, some of that is showing as well. So we can't totally wax this down yet. So we're dealing with the shadow down here with the darker image. So okay. Then we got our shadows, then we got our blue, or this is more of the overall. Alright, so we're going to start from up here at the top layer. We're not even going to play around with it no more. We're just going to do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna get it cracking over here. We're not going to pepper in, play around with none of that little small stuff. We're gonna go in with, and grab us a brush with some texture to it. That's gonna be for later on, once we start creating distance between us and the character. We're gonna start creating space, and that space is gonna make it look more realistic. It's gonna make the light source mean, you know, it's gonna explain what's going on with that image. All right, so here we got this brush here. Let's see how hard that is. We're gonna lighten this up, and it's going to give us some texture where it really matters. It's gonna give us a little texture, you know. There ain't nothing wrong with texture. I still want that to be lighter. And then also, we're going here with the eyedropper, pick that color. So as we blend, it's going to give us a really unique mix here. Won't be harsh. So all these squiggle lines, we need to do something about that. We'll bring the brush up here, and we'll just swipe over. Let's get the skip going. So all we want to do is just put a little bit of that texture up in that thing, you know. We want it to look like something. Going with our eyedropper again, pick a darker area. At 1% again. Sometimes you pull these things and it gives you 1% and it ain't doing nothing. And you'll be brushing and nothing happening. But if you figure it out early, see how that came out? Oh my goodness. Texture is everything, y'all. You start adding in texture, and it gives substance to your piece. Like you can have that bubble effect going on. And that area up there, we might have to take that back. Bring the brush down a little bit, so we can actually write this in. There we go. And in the darker areas, you're really gonna see that texture come in. Sometimes you'll be wondering what a picture is missing, and it'll be texture, you know. It'll be something along the lines of just needing more texture to grab what you're trying to do. and pull it over to a realistic textile. So that's all we're doing here. That's all we doing. That's all we doing. Put a little texture on here too, which I already kind of had a little texture going on in this area. We just had to give it a little more, even on this here too. A little texture here. A little texture ain't never hurt nobody. You know what I'm saying? Alright. Now we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. Because we got a little texture flowing now. You dig? So we ain't had before. They help out with these white highlights too. Sometimes your white highlights could be a little harsh for the picture overall. And how you tone it down is with texture. Bring more meaning to that area by adding some texture. Let's go ahead and switch. I'm going to get in a little darker on them. And I'm going to bring it in a little closer. Right up in here. We are creating sound. See that hard edge there? We gotta soften this out a little bit. We gotta do something to it. It's a little too hard. So I've been doing a lot of spiritual drawings lately. A lot of spiritual drawings. And some of them I don't understand. Don't understand, should I say. I understand because I clearly do them. But to be able to understand what they mean is on a whole nother ball game. Sometimes I sit on some of these drawings for months before I even know what's going on in the drawing. But I'll get like a dream or something like that. In these dreams, I'll be seeing these images. And some would think that I'm on drugs by some of the stuff I be drawing. But it's clearly not that. You know. But I get these messages. And sometimes I know who the messages are for, and sometimes I don't. But I let the source tell me when to move, and then I move. You know. And sometimes I'm not sure if I'm hearing it right, and I don't move, and then I get corrected. You know. But drawings like this one rarely happen, and it's been a while since I spent this much time on a drawing. You know, usually I can get a drawing done in a day, couple hours. This one, we've been at this drawing for like 8 hours already. And maybe because this is I don't know who this drawing has to be for. Who needs to see this drawing? Which is why I go live with it, because maybe they can shine some light, you know, on this whole idea to me, you know. I don't know why I had this idea, but I just know it hits home for me. What I believe it means hits home for me. So go live with this, so when a person is brought over here to see what I'm doing, they know that they know that it's a message for them. It's not just something that I'm creating for no reason. But you know when you know that something is speaking to your spirit or speaking to your heart to move and do what you need, do what you need to do. And we all have to get in that area in our lives where we're not moving because of something that we feel, but we are moving based on the spirit. We are moving in the spirit. And we're allowing ourselves to pass messages that need to happen, that need to get to who they need to get to. And we stand in the way of with just dealing with self, all day. There'll be a lot of people out there waiting and not receiving what they need to receive. So, I encourage you guys to, and girls, listen to what the Spirit is telling you to do. Some people, they may not understand what you're doing or what the intention is behind whatever it is that you're doing, but you have to be obedient to the messages you get. Or, you could be in violation of withholding some information, and you don't want to be in violation. It's the last thing you want to do, is be in violation. Because we are all accountable. Overall, we're accountable for everything that happens. It's not like we can't just we can't base it on God. We can't just say, oh, this happened because of God. No, we can't blame that on God. There's a lot of things in this world we can't blame on God, and we can't blame on the devil. But we tend to do it. We are quick to do it when we make a mistake. Oh, the devil made me do it. Oh, God know my heart, and you know what I'm saying? God did this on, maybe it was for me to grow from this. No, you did it. Whoever the person was that did it. And it's based off of disobedience, not listening to the Spirit, not being led. Doing what we want to do rather than what the Spirit is telling us to do. I don't know who needs to hear this. This is something along the lines of what I was talking about yesterday, but the audio was out. But to who it resonates with, let the message speak clearly to you, and may you open your heart to receiving the message. A lot of these messages that I get, I don't understand. When I say understand, and overstand, I'm speaking from a perspective of first person, second person, third person. A lot of people in this life are just used to understanding something, right? And understanding is just you kind of being that third wheel. You're just observing. And when you understand something, that means that you're connected to it. And when you overstand it, you're kind of teaching it. You're displaying it in a sense that it's your, like you've taken ownership of it. So when we deal with language, stuff like that, it's important to break down knowledge in the sense of language, in a form that you are allowing the information to, to resonate with you. You're being accessible to the information in a sense to where you can overstand it and not just understand or understand. When you understand, you don't have it enough to be able to teach it to anybody. You're just grasping the concept, but you don't really fully get it. That's what understanding means. You understand that somebody else has it, somebody else is carrying that torch. But we need to get to the place where we overstand, and now we're teaching. We're displaying the information. It's always been about us displaying the information and putting those ideas into fruition. Important things, important activities that need to happen, important events that need to happen. Like the rise of the original people of this land. That has to happen. I think this character is calling to the original people of this land to take up their cross and follow their destiny. Continue their destiny. Continue the journey where they left off at. We've been down too long. This land hasn't been looked after the way that it should be looked after in so long. And it's calling for its parents to come and restore it. That's the best way I could put what I feel about this vision here. Is that we've allowed other entities to come here and just do what they wanted to do in our house without the ideas and without the right intentions in mind for this land. We are seeing it on the daily. I'm gonna save here. I think we did a nice job with this texture. I'm gonna be going back into the middle area here and working out some of these details now. A lot of these details in the middle are just lines. They don't have a place to go. So we gotta give it a place to go. Come on, give me that white. I need that white. There we go. And sometimes I'll be working on trying to get the white, and the computer would just be taking so slow to give it to me. And I'll think I picked it up, and I won't be looking at my my color swatch, and I'll start drawing, and I'll be with the same color, and then I'll have to go back and retouch it up. And that's that happening there. Alright. I'm feeling like that's a little harsh. I'm coming on strong. I'm gonna shrink that down. Put that right there. Put this area here. If you're interested in doing this type of art, feel free to give some comments. I will be more than glad to teach you guys how to do this type of art, this style of art. I learned about this art back in high school when I was first introduced to the graphic design industry, and it just kind of stuck with me my whole life. I've been back and forth with it, and it's like I can't seem to get away from it. But I mean, I'm being called in back into art through a higher purpose now. Before it was just me, drawing and doing it for recreation, but now it's turning into a calling. It's like bigger meanings than myself behind it now. So it's like when I'm doing stuff, I have to listen. I'm listening. Like while I'm drawing this, I'm actually listening, and something is telling me what to do. Not like just creating this myself, based on my own personal thoughts. But I am being led to draw this, and I sat back on it for a little bit, and I took like a week away from it, and then now I'm back. So I have to finish this up. I've been known to run quite a bit. And I had an energy reader to tell me that before, that I just need to stop running and answer my calling. I know it may be some people out there like that too. I know I'm not the only one. It's just like, what do I do? You got a lot of questions, a lot of doubts in yourself about how important your role is in other people's lives, or even if you do fit, that shoe. But some of us, we don't want that title. I know for a while I didn't want the title. I wanted to be as far as I can be away from helping and just being the forefront. But I want to encourage you all, don't be afraid of the forefront. Don't be afraid of, what your calling is and the things that you have to put into motion. You have to listen. You have to be guided into doing those things that you are here to do. You most definitely cannot be afraid to do. Cannot be afraid of your own power. Because when you get an assignment, when you get a spiritual assignment, that's because you are the one to do it. You have the ability to, to take it to where it needs to go. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. You have the protection. Even if you're being attacked, being attacked don't mean that you're going to lose. Being attacked means that you are on the right path and you are, doing what you need to do. Because there's always going to be something trying to stop the greatness, the glory, from happening. It's just always been that way. It's always been something that wants what you have, some source of jealousy. There's always going to be people that aren't satisfied with their life, so they'll transfer and change with you, and, try to trade off with you any day. But they don't know overall what comes along with these gifts. They don't know about the nightmares, the long nights up, the restless nights. They don't know about all of that stuff. They don't know about the suicidal thoughts. All they know is they see something that you have that appears to be better than what they have. So, and you can't blame people that think like that. A lot of people in this world that think like that. And they come and try to take over it, and realize they can't handle the pressure that comes along with it. You know? When I was younger, I used to think about stealing. Now, I never really was a stealer. But I used to always think, people that steal, they never really hold on to what they steal long. It's like, if it's not made for you, it's not made for you. And you're not going to be able to hold on to it. Like, no matter what it is. If you steal it, it's gone. You're not getting it back. You know, that whoever that person is that stole, it's not going to have it long. Where's the... Let's save it. They're going to steal it from you, but they're not going to get it back. They won't have it long. We gotta get that, let me see, let me go a little darker. I need to get some lines established here, because I'm not seeing some of the areas that I need to see, like right up in there. Alright, now our face. This face is not bad at all. So I do want to like give it some sort of skin pore vibes, you know. So let's go back to our brush. Let's see if we can get a brush that is a little more pinpoint as far as that texture. Maybe let's try this one. A little scratchiness. Let's see how this one works for us. So we're going to take this down to around there, put that softness on there. Let's see what type of results we get. We gotta bring in a darker hue there. Oh, it just gave us a blotch. That's exactly what I was talking about with this eyedropper. Well, you know what? We gotta go over here and space this out so it doesn't. No, that's not gonna work for us. We need like some blotches, like something there. But even that is more of the particle look. Brushes are important. This might be a winner here. Let's see what this looks like. So we got that. Is this the top? Let me see. Let's go with a 15. Well, a little more than a 15. Yeah, there we go. Alright. So we got our skin pores here. And we're just gonna gradually put that in, like it doesn't have to be super crazy, anything dramatic. But we do want it, give it a little pitch to the skin. Try the difference here. Put that color there. We'll pull in a little more of that darkness here. See, there we go. Now we're talking. See, this is what we was looking for. Like I was saying before, it's all about the texture and how it ties everything in together. But sometimes the texture is what you need rather than the shading. You know. And the texture can tell stories that shading can't really tell. And shading will just make something appear to be more defined as like a plastic or something. You know. And then we'll grab a darker area here. Then we'll work in some shadowing. See that hard line I had put there from when I was sketching out? It doesn't complement the page. Doesn't tell any part of the story. That gray, we gotta get rid of that gray for a blue that's darker, or the whole picture just falls apart. See? We're creating those cheekbones. Even in here. His face is not gray, but sometimes it's hard to correct what we've done in that department with the grays. You know, it can be somewhat of a trade-off, like when you start your pictures off with the grays and stuff, you kind of lose the focus areas. To the tones. So all we're doing is just working at light blue. It depends on how you perceive the skin tone to be. So if you start off with a you start off with the black and whites, and You try working your way back around to color. Sometimes you'll run into that issue where gray is not going to translate over into a color very well. Now you can take a color picture and switch it over to switch it over to a black and white all day, no hassle, no issues, but soon as you take a black and white picture and try to make it color, the gray areas, they do something weird. It's that area between the white space and the black space where it becomes harder to drop that color in. There's that blue again. See, I just did it again. I try to grab that grayish light blue and I end up doing something totally different. Alright, so we got that cheekbone kind of high. And I need to fade this back a little bit here. It's a really distinctive line here. There we go. We will have a little highlight here underneath the eye where the eye socket bone is. Get up here. Yesterday I was talking about pixels, and one thing I was talking about with pixels, and I kind of disappointed the audio didn't hold, was that back when I started doing this, we were not working on HD quality pictures, like we were not working that quality, that the pixel rate wasn't that high, so we didn't need to go into details with all the type of brushes that we use today. That stuff was it was different back then, man. And now you can't really get away with leaving stuff undone. Like, you can't do it, You end up with those issues, and you can see it. Like, when somebody zooms into your picture, they can see how much time you put in on it. And it's crazy just how technology has taken us. Because a lot of people think, like, oh, since you do digital paint, that it's easier than working on a regular canvas and stuff like that. But no, it's far from the truth. It's not easier to do a digital painting at all. You have tools that you can help you to manipulate things a little faster, but it's not, I wouldn't say easier. I wouldn't call it easy, especially in this day and time where everything has to be HD quality, and they're zooming in and they're looking at the little hairs here and they're going, that looks kind of cheesy, And these are people that want you to do, some work for them, and they'll pick apart your work in a matter of seconds. In a matter of seconds, they'll tear down hours of work. make you feel really bad about not being able to capitalize on certain things. But it reminds me of how good we had it back then, where we could just put together a photo, you know, and Photoshop it, and bam, it would just be, it looked right for the amount of pixels that you was looking at it on. You know, it didn't matter how tough, how much texture you put into it and stuff like that, because, you know, the average person was gonna see it on like one of those computer monitors that was, you know, back when 480 was it, you know what I'm saying? Before 720 came around, it was 480, you know, and 120 pixels, and everything looks good. Like if you don't have, you know, something that you can compare to now, like we can compare that type of thing, you know, and it's really hard. It's a hard pill to swallow. You know, I'm coming in with that blue again. See, that dark blue, which we have to find that medium with. Remember, we was talking about that medium. Go in and find in there, which has to be, you know, come in, get me a little more here, and draw in these cracks in his lips, because people, like I say, like to pick this type of stuff apart. I feel like that's good enough. It's going to get a little more darkness inside of the mouth area. There we go. I really thank y'all for coming and watching, coming and hanging with me. You know, when I'm doing this type of work, I'm left with my own thoughts and a little bit of guidance on top of that. But it's really cool when I do get people in here, kind of vibe with me. Sometimes the spirit tell me don't be so meticulous. I'll be working on I'll be working on one area for a long time, and the spirit will just like move on. Move on. You're doing too much in that area right there. It's like if you touch an area too much, then you almost ruin it. There we go. I guess them kids are down for a nap because I don't hear not a peep. Either they down for a nap or their mom took them out. They was running through the house early, making all kinds of noise. There we are. Put a little white expression on there too. Put that through the middle. Sometimes you can make shading mistakes and then you'll notice. What causes lips to look round is that the highlight would be in the middle of the lip and not necessarily on the edges. So once you start really paying attention to that, you go out in public and you look at people and you just look at how the light bounces off of them. Not in no crazy weird way, you know, but just when you're out in public, observe people, observe what they look like and how the light dances around them. Right? That's the best way I can put it. That's a neat way to put it. Watch the light bounce around people, and it'll draw some attention to these type of details. Then when you see pictures, you'll see things that don't quite match, you know, like what a realistic person look like. Yeah. So you'll get that realistic visual. So what I'm doing here is I have to take away this harsh black line here, because that line causes these lips to look like they're just pasted in place here, and that's not the look that we're going for. So we will take the brush up a little more. And we're just lightening out that line, because we have to give space to we got to give space to that mustache up there to do its thing naturally. What a natural mustache looks like, and what natural lips look like. How the lips blend into the face. So I had a topic I wanted to talk about, and I was kind of hesitant to talk about because all religious people are kind of sensitive about things that don't agree with their beliefs. And we'll keep on going back and forth with different ideas about particular ways to win souls for the kingdom, for the glory of God, for whatever reason. We are stuck in an emotional state when it comes to lifestyle and beliefs. We think that in order to get people to live a righteous life, that we have to bring them in by fear. And what I mean by fear is, religion teaches us that there's a consequence for everything that we do, which is right. There's a consequence, but the consequence that we're threatened with is demonic. It's a demonic consequence that gets displayed to us. And we convert into whatever it is that this belief is based on fear. Not because we really feel it in our heart that that's what's right, but out of fear. That, if we don't want to die and go to places unimaginable, or be be held accountable for other people's downfalls, that we have to fall in line with that. But it's all based out of fear. And God is not about fear. God is not about fear. So you can't be about fear and love at the same time. You cannot mix the two. And I say that to bring this to the topic, that there are people out there that feel like they have to tell you what the Bible says to put fear in your heart, to believe what they're saying is real or true. You'll have people tell you things, and it doesn't bring love. You don't feel love when they tell you these things. You feel the fear. And I had a few people, and that would come into my videos and say, "Oh, you need to repent." And they tell people these things. boldly bringing fear into people's lives, speaking fear. You know, I was raised in church. I was raised as a Christian. And while I learned a lot, you know, and I take a lot from the teaching, there's a greater part. There's a greater part of that's missing from what people see when dealing with religion. And that's the idea that you cannot accept it based behind fear. You cannot build a relationship based off of fear. Even in, you know, with your relationships, you know, personal relationships. Women that fear the man, those aren't healthy relationships. They're not loving relationships. Fearful relationships are toxic relationships. Toxic. But somehow we, as a whole, have manipulated. And I was guilty of this too in the beginning of trying to, you know, find my place in doing God's work. Telling people things that will cause them to be fearful, you know, and to react based off of their fears, and not really having a connection with the idea that was proposed, but just moving out of fear. That's a tough pill to swallow later on when you start waking up and you start to overstand what life is and why you're here. Once you have purpose, a real true purpose, you move differently. You move very different. And the way you move, it's nothing like what you see or hear, you know, people talking about that want to save you or want to get you saved. So your journey spiritually is ever changing. And it will be ever changing because there's so much involved in spirituality. The idea of doing right is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to spirituality. It's the least of your worries. It's doing right. I mean, once you get past a certain age, nobody should have to tell you how to do right anyway. You know, the training on doing right is really for the youth, for the children. But once you become of age, you're no longer met with those type of, you shouldn't be met with those type of issues. So once you get past those type of issues, then the demeanor of life changes. You know, the perception of life, the reality changes. And we're coming up on getting ready to get out of here. The idea of everything that you thought was right flips. The purpose and meaning behind what you're doing is your attention is drawn to different areas where you lack, and it causes you to reassess the overall thought of what you do and what you have been doing. Like, take for instance a basketball player. If a basketball player was really good at bouncing the ball, just bouncing the ball, standing in one spot and bouncing the ball, could they win the game? Could they literally win a basketball game? And the answer to that question is no. How can they win the game where they don't even know what's required of the game? Right? They're not aware of the rules of the game. They're not aware of the basket, or even that they're on the basketball court. Being aware that there are teammates on the court, being aware that they can pass that ball, to their teammates, or they can run down the court. They can move anywhere they want on the court using their legs, not bouncing the ball anymore, but they can run around in different areas on this court. And then they have assistants. There are referees standing out, making sure that things go the right way, that the rules are being followed. And then you have coaches and mentors, and you have other people observing. You have all of these things that's happening outside of what you're seeing. How I look at religion is just the idea of bouncing the ball, just standing in place and bouncing the ball. It's just one fraction of what life is really about. So what happens after you master the idea of, okay, don't do this, don't do that? Then what? Spirituality has so many different depths that you can't judge someone based on their life and where they are inside of their spiritual journey. You can't do it. You can't judge their lifestyle like that. And you most definitely cannot make them ready to accept information based off of fear. But when it's their time to go through that period, that religious state, they'll fall into that area. And then when it's time for them to move past it, they have to move past it. But the issue is that we get caught just standing and bouncing the ball. We forget the rules. We come into this world not remembering the rules, because we get injected with all kind of stuff that we don't even need, stuff that's not even a part of our genetic makeup, right from birth. As soon as we come out of the womb, we get injected with some poison. Causes us to forget why we even came to this world, what our whole agenda is supposed to be. Then we spend all our years trying to figure that out. But a part of that journey is knowing when the time is to be involved with the ideas that people want you to be a part of. You know, and there's so many ideas that you have to be careful with the ideas you entertain, because you could be in violation of breaking the rules without even knowing it, just based off of fears and feelings and what you feel. See, a lot of us don't do the research behind our beliefs. A belief is not a factual thing. A belief is something you're not sure about. You believe because you don't actually know for sure. When you know, you know. You know, when knowing something is for certain, you can't get that mixed up at all. But that I believe, it's all mere faith. It's a hope. So don't bash people because they don't believe what you believe, or because they don't fear what you fear. I try to enlighten the people around me without offending them, and it's very hard to get to someone who's already made their mind up about those touchy topics. You know, they already have their mind made up about what they believe, and when they're faced with what you know, it turns into an argument or something like that. What we have to understand, understand, overstand, all three of those things, is that we are all on different times with waking up. You know, I wake up at a different time than you do. And while we all put our shoes and clothes on, we all do it kind of different sequences, different ways. You know, let that be an example of how, you know, how to deal with people that you're trying to help, rather than forcing it by way of fear. Don't be afraid of that. You know, don't be fearful about knowledge. You cannot be fearful about knowledge, because that only prevents you from learning the truth and learning who you are and why you're here. I kind of understood why I was here. You know, I had an early age, but I was in fear. I was in fear of learning more about the direction I needed to go. And it wasn't until I started to not be fearful that I actually could hear my ancestors, hear my spiritual guides, and receive messages. You know, what I was afraid of the whole time was being alone in the dark. You cannot be afraid of the dark. The void space, which is not void at all, but so we believe is void. Darkness is not bad. Yeah, and that type of thinking causes you to never grow. Thinking that the darkness is bad. It is in darkness that diamonds are made. It's in darkness that a caterpillar becomes a butterfly. It's in darkness that ants till the grass, till the soil to be fertilized. All of these things happen in dark. But when it's time to come to the light, there's most definitely a time for that. Time and place. Time and place. But we can't be afraid of that. We can't be afraid of being in that dark until it's time for, it to come into the light and be seen, be expressed. That knowledge is there. Don't hold yourself back because you feel like somebody's gonna judge you. Somebody's got their own opinions about you because they aren't where you are spiritually. They never have been. All people know is their comfort zone. And that's all you will ever learn, you'll ever know if you never step into the darkness. Hear the things you need to hear. Experience the things you need to experience. And please don't take my words out of context. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not saying that evil, because evil is associated with darkness, that I'm talking about evil. I'm not talking about evil. Okay? We have a way with words that causes discomfort for people, and it's like trigger words. Darkness is one of those trigger words that causes people to go, it's evil, it's evil. I'm gonna save it there, but don't be afraid of that. I'm gonna wrap it up here. We are just at 2 hours. I try to keep these under 2 hours so that when I get ready to convert this to a speed painting, we'll be able to do that. Give me the zoom and take it out. So we did all that work, and we can't really tell from this portion that we did all of that. But when we zoom in, you'll be able to see the fine details that we put into this. In the texture. We'll keep on working this though, and thank you all for coming and watching, hanging out with me, being a part of this conversation. Please share your comments if you're seeing this later on. Come and share your comments, and be willing to learn, be willing to excel in life. I love y'all. I want to see y'all elevating. It is through elevation that you'll find love. Until next time, y'all. Hey, where is the mouse?